Hi all, welcome to iLearn IAS Theory of Prelims Geography 2 test discussion. So let us go to the first question. So the first question is about the coastal plains of India. Let us look at the statements. The statement 1 says the eastern coastal plain is broader than the western counterpart. So we know that the eastern coastal plain is broader than the western counterpart because eastern coastal plain is made up of the sediments brought down by very large rivers. So here we know the fact that the peninsular plateau is tilted towards the eastern side. So because of this reason, all the large rivers flows toward the east and they bring a lot of sediments, creating larger or broader coastal plain. Let us look at the second statement. It says the eastern coast is completely devoid of natural harbors. So we know that the western coast is submerged in nature. So there are a lot of natural ports and harbors, and the eastern coast is emergent in nature. So the depth is very low near the coast. So obviously it will be difficult to have natural ports and harbors. However, here the statement given is actually an absolute statement. So we know that the eastern coast is around 3000 kilometers long, and at least in some place there will be an exception. So obviously there will be few natural harbors in the eastern coast. And the best example is Visakhapatnam port, which is one of the deepest port of India. So this statement is wrong. Let us go to the third statement. It says the western coastal plain is more fertile than the eastern counterpart. Can we say that? No. The eastern coast is more fertile than the western coast. Here the reason is that western coastal plain is made up of coarser materials brought down by smaller rivers flowing towards the western side. Because these rivers flow for only small distances, the sediment size is not reduced much. It is still in coarser stage, and these sediments are being coarser. These sediments are coarser in nature, so obviously they are less fertile. So this is also wrong. So you will get the answer as A. Let us go to the next question. So next question is about Himalayas. So here you should remember that in TOP session, we have already discussed the fact that whenever you get a question, you should read all the statements and then analyze whether a particular statement is more wrong than the other statements and whether a particular statement is absolutely correct. So let us look at the statements. Statement 1 says Himalayas are identified both as climatic and water divide. So we know that Himalayas are a climatic divide. We know that it acts as water divide for large part of its length, but in few areas there are certain rivers called the antecedent rivers cutting across Himalayas. The examples are the Indus, the Satluj, the Brahmaputra, etc. So this question can be correct or can be wrong. Okay, so let us keep that aside. Let us look at the second statement. The northern side of Himalayas is steeper than the southern counterpart, which is an obvious wrong statement because the southern part is steeper. We know that southern part is steeper and the northern part is gentler. So you can eliminate the statement 2. So there is only 2 options left. So the answer will depend upon whether statement 3 is correct or not. Let us look at the statement 3. The Himalayas are completely devoid of mineral deposits. So again, this is an absolute statement. You can apply the theory of a rotten tomato here. Even if you don't know anything, there is high chance that this statement might go wrong. So this is actually a wrong statement. You will get the answer as A. So here, does Himalayas have some mineral deposits? Yes, Himalayas have some mineral deposits. The reason is that Himalayas are actually having a very complex geology. So we know that earlier the Himalayas were part of the Peninsular Plateau. So obviously they have very old geological part. So very old igneous, metamorphic and sedimentary rocks are present there. In addition to that, during the Himalayan formation, due to the intense pressure as well as temperature, in a lot of parts of Himalayas, you can find new metamorphic rocks. In addition to that, after the formation and during the upliftment, a lot of sedimentation happened, and this sedimentation led to creation of new sedimentary rocks as well. And we know that in between there were some marine regions. In between there was a sea called the Tethys Sea, so some marine remains are also present. So obviously this has a complex geology, and because of its complex and very varied geology, there is a high chance that at least in few places there will be some mineral deposits. Then why we are not extracting minerals from Himalayas? One thing, the minerals are available in very small quantity at a particular place. This will reduce the economic feasibility. Another factor is that there is no much transportation facilities. There is no much infrastructure facilities in the Himalayan region. Again, difficulty brings difficulty with respect to the economic feasibility. Then the third part is the ecological sensitivity of the Himalayas. So even if you get some economic benefit, the ecological loss will be very huge. So because of this reason, we don't do much mineral extraction from the Himalayas. Here the answer is A. So let us go to the third question. The question says, in this question, you have to identify the northernmost and the southernmost UTs in India. We have already discussed this particular information in the TOP session. So we know the answer is D, Ladakh and Andaman Nicobar Islands. So we know that the northernmost point will be the Gilgit-Baltistan region, and Gilgit-Baltistan region is actually part of the Ladakh UT. Why Gilgit-Baltistan was added along with Ladakh? Because of the geography. Because we know both these regions are located in the Trans-Himalayan region. These regions are located towards the north and towards the north of the Great Himalayas, and the regions located to the south of the Great Himalayas are included in the J&K UT. Okay. And with respect to Nicobar, we know it is the southernmost point of India is Indira Point in the Great Nicobar Island, which is part of the Andaman Nicobar Islands. Okay. So let us go to the question number 4. Question number 4 is about cotton. So you have to identify the region which produces largest amount of cotton in India. So which are the 3 important cotton producing regions of India? One is the northwestern region, which includes the state of Punjab, Haryana and the Rajasthan. Then there is the western region, which includes the state of Gujarat, Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh. And then there is the southern region, which includes the state of Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. So let us look at the options. Option A, you can eliminate Gangetic Plain. You can eliminate that. Option B is actually the combination of second and third region, which we discussed now. That is the western and southern plateau. So there is high chance that this might be the answer because 2 of the important regions are clubbed together here. So in fact, the answer is B because 2 of the important regions are clubbed together here. And the third option C is the third region which we discussed, the first region which we discussed, that is the Punjab and Haryana plains. And D is the Rar plains. Rar plains is in West Bengal. It is formed by the rivers flowing from the peninsula, from the Jharkhand side towards the West Bengal, joining the Hooghly by rivers like Damodar and Ajay. They bring slightly more coarser sediments, and this Rar plain is not as fertile as the Hooghly plains, the plains of the Gangetic, the tributaries of river, distributaries and tributaries associated with other tributaries associated with river Ganga. Okay, so here the answer is B. So which is the largest producer among the states? Which is the largest producer of cotton? So it is Gujarat, and it is followed by Maharashtra. Sometimes there is a high chance that in future, in the coming years, Maharashtra might take over Gujarat. We don't know that because there is a large reduction in the production of cotton in the state of Gujarat in the recent years. And the third is the Telangana. So all the top 3 states are coming in the option B. Now the question number 5. Question number 5 is Andaman Nicobar. Is about Andaman Nicobar Islands. So we know that Andaman Nicobar Islands is a very important area for UPSC. In 2017, UPSC asked about a place which is located very closest to that of the Great Nicobar Islands, and the answer was Sumatra Islands of Indonesia. So here the question is, you have to identify a country which is located closest to the Andaman Nicobar Islands, not just the Great Nicobar Island, the Andaman Nicobar Island group. So what is the answer? The answer is Myanmar. Why? Because in the northern side of the Andaman Nicobar Islands, you can find an island of Myanmar called Coco Island, and it is actually only 20 kilometers away from the northernmost island of the Andaman Nicobar group of islands, that is the landfall island of India. So it is only 20 kilometers away. So the answer is Myanmar. So next question is about monsoon rains, and it is a conceptual question. So you have to identify how the monsoon rains are distributed in the Peninsular Plateau. So in the Peninsular Plateau, monsoon rains are distributed in a particular pattern, we know that it decreases as we move from south to north, and it decreases again as we move from west to east. So you can see it increases from south to north is wrong, decreases from south to north is correct, increases from east to west is, increases from east to west is, increases from east to west is wrong. Increases from east to west is actually correct. Decreases from east to west is wrong. So the answer is 2 and 3 only. 2 and 3 only is B. Okay, so this is a conceptual question. Question number 7. Question number 7 is about states and boundaries. And let us look at the statements. Statement 1 says the Assam shares its boundaries with 7 states of India. So let us look at the states which shares boundary with Assam. So we will start from the south and we will go in clockwise direction. We know first there is Meghalaya, then comes the West Bengal, then comes the Arunachal Pradesh, then Nagaland, then Manipur, Mizoram, and Tripura. So there are 7 states. So this statement is actually correct. Let us look at the second statement. It says Meghalaya shares its boundary with Bangladesh and the state of Assam only. So in Meghalaya, if you look at Meghalaya, in the south of Meghalaya, you can find Bangladesh, and in all other sides, in the west, in the north, and in the east, it is Assam. So the answer is, again, this statement is also correct. Here you have to identify your not correct statements. So both statements are correct. So the answer is D, neither 1 nor 2. Let us go to the question number 8. So the question is, you have to identify the passes which connect India and China. You have to identify the passes which connect India and China. So with respect to India-China boundary, so for most part of India-China boundary is formed by the apex of the Himalayas, apex of the Great Himalayas. So it is true, especially with respect to the state of Uttarakhand, with the state of Sikkim, with respect to the state of Arunachal Pradesh. In other 2 regions, that is in the Ladakh UT as well as in Himachal Pradesh, mostly the Great Himalayas is running within India. So it is actually falling within India. So here you have to look at the passes. Shipkila is at the southeastern part of the Himachal Pradesh. It is in fact a pass which connects India and China. It is through this particular pass that Satluj River enters India. Nathula Pass is in Sikkim. It again connects India and China. Leppu Lake Pass, it is in the Uttarakhand, in the state of Uttarakhand. It is at the tri-junction between India, Nepal, and China. There is a high chance that you will get a question from here because of the ongoing dispute, the border dispute between India and Nepal. So Rohtang Pass is falling within India because it is actually on a road which connects Manali and Leh. So Rohtang Pass, Bara-Lapchala are examples of passes which are located along this particular road. So Rohtang Pass is located within India, not a border pass. Here the answer is 1, 2, and 3 only. Answer is D. Question number 9. Question number 9 is about the lakes. So UPSC is very much interested in asking questions about wetlands of India. In 2018, there were questions. 2018 and 19, there were questions from wetlands. Let us look at the questions. Let us look at the question number 9. So you have to identify a correctly matched pair. So option A, Kolleru Lake, a freshwater lake, which is actually a correct statement. Kolleru is a freshwater lake located between two of the largest rivers of the peninsula, that is the Kaveri and the Godavari. So it is a correct statement. Let us look at the other statements. Option B says Pulicat Lake is a Ramsar site, which is wrong. Why? Pulicat Lake is not a Ramsar site. There is only one Ramsar site from the state of Andhra Pradesh, which is Lake Kolleru. Let us go to the option C. Option C says Vular Lake is a saline wetland. Vular Lake is not a saline wetland. It is actually a freshwater lake. It is a freshwater lake, and it is the largest freshwater lake of the country. Why it is a freshwater lake? One thing, it is located to the south of Great Himalayas, and it is actually a part of the Indus River. It is connected with the Indus River. The water quantity in the lake, Vular Lake, actually decreases and increases with the increase and decrease of water quantity in the Jhelum River. So this is a wrong statement. Let us look at the option D, Chilika. A Chilika Lake is protected under Montreux record. It was earlier listed under Montreux record, but it has been lifted. It has been removed from the list because of the conservation, the success of the conservation efforts. There are only 2 sites presently coming under Montreux record from India, that is Kyaladu Kanna National Park as well as Loktak Lake of Manipur. So this is also wrong. So next question is say that certain characteristics are given. You have to identify a region. So I will directly go to the statement number 4, which it says presence of atomic minerals. Okay, atomic minerals, usually we know it is associated with the southwestern coast, the Kerala coast. So other statements is also true with respect to Kerala coast, that is abundant rainfall, lakes, tropical evergreen forest. So here the answer is C, southwestern coast and hill slopes. Question number 11. Question number 11 is about soil degradation. You have to identify the factors which lead to soil degradation. So waterlogging, obviously, in the last class we discussed about how waterlogging lead to salts being deposited on the surface of the soil, and these salts will act as a layer which reduce the intake or the ability of the water to ability of the soil to intake water. That is, it makes soil impermeable. So again, it can lead to degradation. Then excessive use of fertilizers, obviously, it will kill the microbes. It will reduce the health of the soil. Soil erosion. Soil erosion is an issue because the topsoil is the most fertile part of the soil. If topsoil is lost through soil erosion, it will lead to soil degradation. Organic farming is something which helps in the soil conservation process. So we can eliminate 4. Then landfills. Obviously, landfills will add a lot of impurities and chemicals chemicals to the soil, thereby making the soil less fertile and leading to soil degradation. So here the answer is C. Next question is a very simple question. You have to identify which forest ecosystem is known as monsoon forest. So India's climate is called as monsoon climate, and the most dominant forest of India is called the monsoon forest, and most dominant forest of India is the deciduous, tropical deciduous forest type. Okay, so this is a very simple question. Question number 13. Question number 13, you have to identify the rivers which cuts international borders in their course of flow. Sutlej River, we know Sutlej originates from Tibet, part of China, near the Mansarovar Lake region. It enters India near the Shipkila Pass. Then the first state through which it flows through India is the Himachal Pradesh. Then it enters Punjab. Then it finally enters Pakistan. In Pakistan, it is joined by many rivers, and it joins Chenab. It joins Chenab, creating Panchnath, and Panchnath joins Indus. Okay, so in India, if you look at the states through which it passes, it passes through Himachal Pradesh and Punjab. And we know the important dams, the Bakra and Nangal dams are located across Sutlej River. Bakra and Nangal. Bakra is in HP, Nangal is in Punjab. Then there is Harike wetland just before it drains out to Pakistan. It is at this point it is joined by Beas River. So Beas River in fact flows only through India. It flows only through India. It originates from Himachal Pradesh, and then it enters Punjab. Then it joins Sutlej while it is within India. So it is not an international river. It flows only through India. So we can eliminate Beas. Then Teesta, we know it originates from Sikkim, enters West Bengal, enters Bangladesh, joins Brahmaputra. Barak in India flows through 4 states, that is Manipur, Mizoram, Assam, and Nagaland. And for Nagaland and Mizoram, only a small portion of the river flows through these 2 states. And it is a very important state the most important state for Manipur, and it is the most important state for Assam, the southern Assam region. Southern Assam, for southern Assam, it is the most important region. You might have heard about the city of Silchar, which is the end point of the east-west corridor, Porbandar to Silchar. Silchar is on the banks of this river Barak. Okay, so here the answer is B. Question number 14. Among the following cities, which one lies to the west of the longitude passing through Indore? So Indore was in news because of the fact that it was one of the most affected cities in the early stage of the COVID pandemic. And UPSC has this tendency to ask questions with respect to location from longitude, latitude areas. So in 2018, there was a question, you are supposed to identify a city which is located closest to that of Delhi. See here, look at the options. You can eliminate Bhopal because Bhopal is towards the east. Then if you apply some logic, you can say that Delhi, Bangalore, Bhopal are almost on the same line. Delhi, Bangalore is almost on the same line. So obviously it cannot come together. So one of them cannot become answer while other is a wrong answer. Okay, because they are closely located. So you can eliminate Delhi and Bangalore because earlier, if you know the earlier previous year UPSC question, you can eliminate Delhi and Bangalore. The answer is Srinagar. C. Question number 15. Which of the following is the sustainable land use system that combines food crops with tree crops? So what is the answer? It's a simple question. Answer is agroforestry. So you should be very clear about what you mean by agroforestry, social forestry, extension forestry, etc. Social forestry is the broader term. It means all the forestry related activities outside, the tree planting related activity outside the forest region. And there are different types of social forestry. One of the type is the agroforestry. Another is the extension forestry. Extension forestry means you are actually trying to plant trees in along the canal side, along the road side, along the railway line, and all the wastelands and all. Okay, so this is, you should be clear about all these terms. Mixed farming we discussed in the last test discussion. So next question, you have to identify rabi crops of India. So rabi crops, wheat is the most important and the famous rabi crop of India. Another barley is also a rabi crop. Cotton and maize are both kharif crops. What are the other rabi crops of India? Mustard is there, gram is there. All of them are important rabi crops of India. So here the answer is D. Let us go to the question number 17. Which of the following major agriculture practices are used to increase water percolation, reduce soil erosion? So you have to increase water percolation and reduce soil erosion. How can we do that? If we can reduce the speed of flow of water, both of this will happen. So all the activities and practices which actually try to reduce the speed of flowing water will help in these two things, that is water percolation and reduction in soil erosion. So contour bunding obviously will act as a barrier for water flow. Then terrace farming, almost similar to contour bunding. Okay, rainwater pits, all of them are associated with water increase in water percolation, reduction in soil erosion. Okay, then so here the answer is D. Question number 18, you have to arrange the cities from decreasing order of average monsoon rainfall. So these cities are cities from North Indian plains. In North Indian plains, we know that the rainfall decreases from east to west. So you have to arrange these cities from east to west. So the easternmost city is Kolkata, then comes Patna, then come Allahabad, then come Delhi. So answer is 4213B. Okay. So next question is about the lakes. So you have to identify brackish water lakes from the statements given. So how can we identify brackish water lakes? So there are three regions in which you can identify brackish water lakes. One is along the coast, because of the seawater intrusion, all the lagoon lakes of India are brackish water lakes. Okay, so examples are Chilika, Pulicat, then Vembanad Lake, then also in the the salt marsh region of the Gujarat. So the one is the coastal. Another is the deserts of Rajasthan. Deserts of Rajasthan, there is water, so the rainfall is less and the evaporation is very high. So water get removed and salts remain. So example is Sambar Lake. Then in the Trans-Himalayan region again, the water addition is less, the freshwater addition is less, there is more evaporation. Obviously, the salt content will increase. Example, Zomorori, Pangongso, etc. So let us look at the statements. So one, Vembanad is a brackish water coastal lake. Zomorori and Pongongso, both in Trans-Himalayan region, brackish water. Loktak Lake is in Manipur, which is not associated with the regions which we discussed. Pulicat Lake, again, is a coastal lagoon lake, brackish water. So the answer is A. Question number 20. So you have to identify rivers which drains into Arabian Sea. So in UPSC is very much interested in asking about the tributaries. So in the TOP session, we discussed how UPSC asks about the tributaries. Usually UPSC will ask about the tributaries of major rivers. That means these rivers are somewhat large rivers having around 300, 500 or 700, 800 kilometers in length. So study all the major rivers of all the major tributaries of major rivers. Okay, another is the medium-sized rivers. So medium-sized rivers, again, these are rivers having a length 300, 500 range length, and these are independent rivers, but medium-sized rivers. Okay, almost of the same size as the major tributaries of major rivers. So let us look at the option. Sabarmati is in Gujarat. It's correct. It joins Gulf of Kambat. Subarnarega, no, it's in the eastern region. It's an independent east flowing river. Amsadara, again, independent east flowing rivers. Both joins Bay of Bengal. Mandovi, which was in news. Mandovi is also known as Manvi or Mahadei. It was in news because of the dispute between Goa and Karnataka. It flows through. It is very important river of Goa, so obviously it will flow through Arabian Sea. Then there is Luni. Luni is the largest inland drainage of India. It does not directly it does not directly join Arabian Sea. Rather, it joins the salt marshes of Gujarat, the Rann of Kutch. So you can eliminate this one. Answer is B. Next question, you have to identify the statements or phenomena which enhance southwest monsoon. So we know there are certain factors, certain phenomena which help in southwest monsoon, help in increase the rainfall of southwest monsoon. There are certain factors which will weaken the southwest monsoon. What are the factors which are favorable to southwest monsoon? We know the intense heating of Tibetan highlands is there. Then there is La Nina. Then there is La Nina Modoki. Then there is positive Indian Ocean dipole. All of them are good for having good monsoon rainfall. So what are negative? What all phenomena can act as can be detrimental for proper monsoon or which can reduce monsoon rainfall? So one is the snowfall in the Tibetan highland. Second is the La Nina. Then there is the La Nina Modoki, and then there is the negative Indian Ocean dipole. So you have to identify those phenomena which helps in southwest monsoon. So which will be the positive Indian Ocean dipole and La Nina Modoki. Both El Nino and pre-monsoon, pre-summer snowfall will be detrimental for monsoon rainfall. Okay, so answer is 1 and 3 only A. So next question number 22. So here this is a question from State of Forest Report 2019. Let us look at the statement 1. Among Indian states, Arunachal Pradesh has the highest geographical area under forest cover. Is it correct? No. It is Madhya Pradesh which has the highest forest cover, and which is followed by Arunachal Pradesh. That means Arunachal Pradesh has the second highest forest cover with respect to geographical area under forest. Okay. Question statement 2. Andaman Nicobar Islands records the highest percentage of forest cover. Is it correct? No. It is wrong. Among UTs and states, if you club together UTs and state, it is Lakshadweep, which has 90% forest cover. And among the state, it is Mizoram. And so you should keep this information in mind. Highest with respect to total area, it is Madhya Pradesh. Highest with respect to percentage, it is Mizoram. And if you add UTs, if you consider UTs, among UTs, it is Lakshadweep. Okay. So there is a connection between Mizoram and Lakshadweep. Lakshadweep and Mizoram has some similarities. Say, for example, highest tribal population in India with respect to state is found, the percentage with respect to percentage is found in Mizoram. Similarly, with respect to percentage among the UTs, it is found in Lakshadweep. Again, with respect to forest also, among the UTs, Lakshadweep is first. Among the state, Mizoram is first. you should keep one factor. You should remember one factor. There is only one state having more than 84% forest cover, that is Mizoram. So Arunachal Pradesh, it is only 79.63%. So in 2012, UPSC asked a question. One statement was forest cover above 80%, and the answer was Arunachal Pradesh. But now the forest cover has reduced. So look how dynamic all these factors are. The forest cover has reduced. Now that question, the answer will be different. Okay, there is no answer for that question. Okay, no. So keep this information. So remember these informations. Question number 23. Question number 23 is about Indian soils. Alluvial soil covers the largest area in India, which is a correct statement. Second statement. Let us look at the second statement. It says laterite soils are mainly found in the arid and semi-arid regions. No, it is associated with the heavy rainfall regions. We can eliminate this one. Red soil is developed over Archean rocks. So Archean rocks means we are talking about crystalline, metamorphic, and igneous rocks. So obviously we know that red soil is associated with this old part of peninsula where there is medium rainfall. So red soil is developed due to incomplete leaching or partial leaching. So whereby the lime is leached out, little bit of silica, iron, and aluminum will remain. So you have to identify not correct statement. Not correct statement is, so laterite part is, statement 2 is not correct. So answer is A. Okay, question number 24. Question number 24. Let us look at the question number 24. So you have to identify the minimum number of states and UTs through which you can travel, including the origin and destination, if you're walking from Bhuj to Nathula. Bhuj to Nathula. Bhuj to Nathula. Okay, so let us try walking. So Bhuj, we know it is in, where is Bhuj? Bhuj is in, we know Bhuj is in, Bhuj is in Gujarat. So Gujarat, from Gujarat you can enter Madhya Pradesh, then Lucknow, then Bihar, then West Bengal, and finally Nathula in Sikkim. Okay. So another, so what is the number of states? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What is the another way you can travel? Another way is Gujarat, Rajasthan, UP, Bihar, West Bengal, Sikkim. Again 6. Is there any other option? Okay. Gujarat, Maharashtra, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, West Bengal, Sikkim. There you have 3 options, and all the options, the number of states is 6. So the answer is actually answer is 6B. Last question, question number 25. So you have to identify the state in which these wetlands are located. That is Nawabganj, Samaspur, Sarai Nawar. So recently we know that 10 new Ramsar sites were added to the India's Ramsar list, and out of that 6 are from UP, 3 from Punjab, and 1 from Maharashtra. If you know that information, you can get the answer, because Punjab is not given here, only Uttar Pradesh is given here. The answer is C, Uttar Pradesh. Now Uttar Pradesh has the largest number of Ramsar sites among states. It has 7 Ramsar sites. Already there was 1 Ramsar site in UP, and 6 more was added. Now there is 7. And Maharashtra got it only 1 Ramsar site. So now presently, earlier there was no Ramsar site in Maharashtra, and now recently 1 got added, and there is only 1 Ramsar site now in Maharashtra. Okay. So so with that we completed our discussion on test discussion, and thank you. All the best.